Hey, are you done yet? Doug Wright awards this, Doug Wright awards that. I gotta get my
Hey,
laundry
don't blame
done.
me. This is Brad's fault and Conan. You know I hate doing this. All right, come on. There we go.
Welcome to the 17th Annual Doug Wright Awards. And now, even though he can't hear you, please give a round of applause for the chair of the Doug Wright Awards Foundation, Brad Mackay.
Hello, I'm Brad Mackay, chair of the board of the Doug Wright Awards Foundation. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to our 17th annual awards ceremony. And, as it happens, our second annual online pandemic-era extravaganza. The drawbacks of a virtual online awards ceremony should be obvious. There's no parties, there's no schmoozing, there's no industry gossip. But there are positives as well. The beer is cheap, the parking is free, and watching from your living room makes it much easier to make fun of people's regrettable quarantine haircuts. Hang on. Now, for those tuning in for the first time, you might be asking yourself, what exactly are the Doug Wright Awards? Let me explain. We are a nonprofit foundation committed to supporting and celebrating the best in Canadian comics. The primary way we do this is through our awards ceremony, which we've been holding annually without interruption for 17 years now. That's the longest streak in Canadian comics award history. Give a note to myself to get Conan to fact check that. In a typical year, our live ceremony takes place at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, which is also known as TCAF. But since the global COVID-19 pandemic forced the festival to go virtual, we decided to switch it up last year and try it out as an online broadcast. Personally, I'm glad we did. Last year was a huge success and a ton of fun, and it allowed us to fulfill our mandate, which is to cast the spotlight on Canadian comics and the creators who make them to a much wider audience than ever before. And while things seem to be turning a corner this year, these are still discouraging times for many of us, especially self-employed artists and cartoonists. So, do me a favor. If any of the books you see here tonight speak to you, I urge you to seek them out and buy a copy for a friend. And if you can't afford to buy a book right now, then do your best to promote them on social media or talk them up with your friends. Let's all do our part, large or small, to support our thriving Canadian comics community. So, for over 2 decades, the Doug Wright Awards have handed out nearly 50 trophies to a legendary roster of the country's best cartoonists and creators. This includes Brian Lee O'Malley, Michelle Rebagliati, Jillian and Mariko Tamaki, Joe Ullman, Kate Beaton, Mark Bell, Sylvia Nickerson, David Collier, Elise Gravel, Hartley Lynn, Michael DeForge, Jesse Jacobs, and Seth, just to name a few. Our awards are organized into 4 categories. There's the best book, the Nipper, which recognizes emerging talent and is given to early career artists who are deserving of wider recognition. The Pigskin Peters Award, which recognizes the best small press or micro press books. And the Egghead, which recognizes excellence in comics for kids aged 12 and under. The winners in each category are chosen by a panel that's made up of 3 judges. There's 1 cartoonist, 1 professional from the comics industry, and 1 judge from either of the above categories, or someone who has a deep knowledge and appreciation of the medium. The judging process begins in December of each year, when the Wright Awards puts out an open call for books published in English by a Canadian or a permanent resident, cartoonist or writer-artist team during the previous calendar year. This year we received 147 entries from more than 60 publishers, which included nearly 3 dozen self-publishers. Those entries were narrowed down by the juries to a short list and ultimately to a winner for each awards category. Winners were chosen based on factors such as quality of illustration, and the drawing, writing, production style, creativity, and originality. In addition to our 4 awards categories, we also take time out every year to honor Canadian comics history by inducting cartoonists into our Hall of Fame, which we call the Giants of the North. And, if you're not already aware, no nonprofit organization could do the show without valued sponsors and dedicated volunteers. So, as usual, this year I'd like to thank the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, The Beguiling, Broken Pencil, Valley View Artist Retreat, and Tattle Creek Magazine for their support. In addition, thanks go out to Ehab Arafa, Alex Hoffman, Ivan Kokmarek, Rob Mursky, Michael Thorner, Bob Skoriak, Matt McKinnon, and Brian Hunt. Thank you all. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our longest serving supporter, which is Phyllis Wright, who has helped Seth, Conan, and I present the awards every year since the beginning. I trust that she's watching this. We miss you, Phil, and we look forward to being reunited with you in 2022. Fingers crossed. Now that that's out of the way, I'm very delighted to introduce you to your host for the 17th Annual Doug Wright Awards. Writer, director, star of stage and screen, Genie Award winner, Tony Award winner, member of the Order of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Bob Hope of Canadian comics, Mr. Don McKellar.
Hi, it's Don McKellar, thrilled to be back to host the 17th Annual Doug Wright Awards for the second year in my garage. Yes, the Oscars have been without a host for 3 years now, but not the Doug Wright Awards. They like a host. So what they've done is basically locked me in my garage for a year and concocted this crazy story about it being dangerous to go outside. Yeah, I told them it was kind of lonely, but well, Seth was nice enough to build a little miniature town for me over there so I could pretend I was going out walking around the city. Did I make that joke last year? I can't even remember. It's all a blur to me. I don't know. Does it matter? In fact, what I was thinking is I should just host this thing wearing a mask so next year I don't have to tape it and I could just dub in the names. I'm sorry, but it's been a little hard in the movie business this last year, so to make some money I rented out the garage to a band. I can't really kick her out because she has a right to be here. Alaska, hi, sorry. I'm just hosting an award show here, the Doug Wright Awards, and I wonder if you could just give me a little space. Sorry, you can be the house band if you like. Okay, on to the first award. Before we do, for those of you who have seen us live, you might have known that we sometimes are lucky enough to have virtuoso cartoonist, not Shakespeare, but Rob Sikoriak, who does live cartoons based on what he sees on the stage. Of course, he can't be here today. We don't have a lot of room with the band and everything, so he's at home. Let's check in with him and see how he's doing. Thanks, Rob. That's a great caricature of me doing my introduction. It's very flattering. We'll check in with you again later. Of course, this show isn't live and I'm not really seeing what he's doing and he's not seeing what I'm doing, so it's kind of random, but I'm sure he's doing some great stuff. Now, the first award. By the way, this is the script this year. As you can see, it's much thinner than usual. That's because Brad Mackay, who usually does the bulk of the writing, started up an artisanal bacon business this year. Lots of jokes I can make about that, but knowing Brad, I'm sure he attempted most of them in his introduction. But the result is, for me at least, both positive and negative. On the plus side, it means that I have much less to read, but on the negative side, it means I've lost the butt of most of my humor with Brad not being involved. So it's a little tougher. Nevertheless, we start with our first award, which is a new award introduced last year. Next year, who knows, maybe the non-fungible token award. But last year, we introduced the Egghead, which is the Doug Wright Award for Best Kids Book. Work aimed at children ages 0 to 12. And for trivia buffs, Egghead was the original name Doug Wright gave to his signature character, Nipper. And to present the award is Emily Polweary, an award-winning author who teaches writing to kids for teens in UBC. And she was also one of the judges. Emily.
Hi, I'm here in Pacific Spirit Park on unceded ancestral Musqueam territory in what is now known as Vancouver. It was a pleasure, an honor, and a great challenge to be part of this year's jury for the Egghead Award for Best Kids Book. Myself, author Sarah Soller, and author-illustrator Frank Viva found it quite challenging to select our shortlist and winner. We read dozens of beautiful, silly, moving books written and illustrated by people across the country, all aimed at children under 12. And without further ado, the nominees for the 2021 Egghead Award are A Slug Story by Mandy Koyama, Hannah Koyama, Claude St. Aubin, and Laverne Kinjerski, published by Renegade Arts Entertainment. A Slug Story is a semi-autobiographical graphic novel about a young person learning to live with a virus-induced brain injury. It's drawn in a playful, cartoony style that makes the content feel accessible and even, at times, laugh out loud funny. The Little Ghost Who Was a Quilt by Riel Nason and Byron Eggenschwiller, published by Tundra Books. Life is hard for the little ghost who was a quilt. He looks different than other ghosts because he's a colorful blue pattern quilt, not a white sheet. With backgrounds painted in dark, haunting sepia tones, this story teaches kids that their differences make them beautiful. OK Universe, Chronicles of a Woman in Politics by Valérie Plante and Delphine Côté-Lacroix, published by Drawn and Quarterly. OK Universe recounts a community activist's journey to becoming the first woman mayor of Montreal. It's illustrated in lovely, muted colors that emphasize how the candidate was an outsider to politics who remained true to her vision. Grandmother School by Rena Singh and Alan Rooney, published by Orca Book Publishers. Illustrated in vibrant colors using paint, collage, and print work, Grandmother School is a gorgeously textured book about a real school aimed at older women in a remote community in India. It's told by a student's granddaughter who learns how to write her name at the same time as her elder relative. Swift Fox All Along by Rebecca Thomas and Maya McKibben, published by Onyx Press. Swift Fox All Along is the tale of a young girl who learns about her indigenous identity and heritage through her father's family. Drawn in earthy tones, the art evokes the natural beauty of Mi'kmaq territory out east. And now, the winner is A Slug Story by Mandy Koyama, Hannah Koyama, Claude St. Aubin, and Laverne Kinjerski, published by Renegade Arts Entertainment. Congratulations to everyone on the shortlist and to the winner, and I can't wait to see what's submitted for this award in the future.
We are extremely delighted and honored to accept
The Egghead, the Doug Wright Award for Best Kids Book.
I'd like to thank Hannah,
I'd like to thank my mom,
and we'd both like to thank the amazingly creative team of
Claude St. Aubin, Laverne Kinjerski, and Taylor Esposito.
and behind the scenes making it happen, Emily Pomeroy, and our most excellent publisher, Alexander Finbow.
And thank you to Marion and Dalton.
And our fab friends and family members.
Also, we'd like to give a huge shout out to the frontline workers and hospital staff.
We are extremely grateful for your care.
Great thanks to the jury for selecting this book. It means the world.
Thank you for supporting comic books and graphic novels in this way.
Thank you all.
Congratulations for winning the Egghead Award. Only the second year we've had it. Congratulations to Mandy, Hannah, Cloud, and Laverne. I wish you the best of luck with your book and continued success.
Our second award of the evening is, drumroll, the Pigskin Peters Award. The Pigskin Peters Award is the Doug Wright Award for Best Small or Micro Press Book, sponsored by the good people at Broken Pencil magazine. This award, which is given to a book not published by a major press, of course, is named for a popular character in Jimmy Frizz's comic strip Bird's Eye Center. The winner of the Pigskin Peters, the very lucky winner, wins not only a small cash prize like all the winners, but also a black bowler hat similar to the one worn by the award's namesake. And to present the award is a beloved friend of the Doug Wright Awards. Like many of you during this lockdown, I kept asking myself, how's David Collier doing? I hope David Collier's doing okay. Let's see. Take it away, David.
I'm David Collier. I'm here in Hamilton, Ontario. This is our hockey rink, and there's a vaccination clinic in there. Now you might be wondering, why is a guy who's like in charge of the I hate streaming one-man movement on your computer today? Well, it's because if there's something I hate more than streaming, it's people who are like vaccine hesitant. Like, of all people to get vaccine hesitancy, it's me, you know? Like, a couple of people out there might have read my book that was nominated for Doug Wright Award a few years ago. Oh, not this one, Hamilton sketchbook. It's this one called Chemo, where I actually developed bad blood clots after a botched surgery recovery, okay? But if I can do it, you can do it, okay? So let's go in and see what happens, okay? The nominees are the Noiseless Din by Scott Carruthers, The Desiccation by Scott Carruthers and Sally McKay, Awkward Pause by Ryan Harvey, A Gleaming by Adam DeSouza, and In Between by Kimberly Edgar.
Let's do this.
When are you going to give me the needle? It
Right?
didn't hurt a bit.
Right?
Oh, jeez. So, I'll just say one thing more. The Noiseless Din by Scott Carruthers won the Pigskin Peters Award in 2021.
Hi, The Noiseless Din is my first book. For years before that, my work was gallery-based, making large-scale drawing installations with hundreds or even thousands of small images. When I began the book project, I was quickly pulled out of my comfort zone. This was an entirely new medium with its own limitations and possibilities, and the challenge was very refreshing. I really hope the book retains some of the feel of my earlier work. First, I want to thank my publisher, Mark Liberty and Pop Noir Editions, for taking a chance on an admittedly odd and niche title. Mark, to some extent, was also my editor, making invaluable suggestions and design decisions that have helped me finish the book in a way that I don't think I could have otherwise. Big thanks to my friends, especially my partner, Tanya Reed, who offered much valuable input, as well as putting up with my constant need for validation. I also want to thank the Canada Council for the Arts, Its support was crucial in helping me complete what ended up being a 3-year project. Most importantly, I want to thank anyone who has or will spend time with the work. I really appreciate it. Thanks again.
Congratulations, Scott, for winning the Pigskin Peters Award. I'm sorry I'm not there to place the traditional derby right on your head, but hopefully we'll be seeing you live in person next year in the real world at next year's awards, wearing it proudly.
Let's check in again with Rob. Rob? Nice one. Thanks, Rob. Looks good. Now, in all seriousness, I think it's important to recognize that a lot of people have been having a hard year. People have been grappling with loss and a sense of fear about what's to come. Of course, I'm talking about the fact that this is the last season for Koyama Press. Annie Koyama promises she's still going to be involved in the comic industry, but how? Here to talk about it is my arch rival, multiple-time Doug Show Award host, Dustin Harbin.
Hello, I'm Dustin Harbin. You may know me from previous Wright Award ceremonies and or just a general friendliness with Canadian comics. I am not a Canadian comics. I'm an American comics, as you could tell from my beard, glasses, and John P. shirt, the SPX uniform. Conan asked me to say something about Annie Koyama. I guess this is her last season of being nominated for Doug Wright Awards until, of course, she's inducted into the Giants of the North. I guess I can say something nice about Annie. I like her. She's good. I would remind everyone involved once again that I am not Canadian, and being called upon to brag on Canadian citizens is as un-American activity as I can imagine. On the other hand, talking is very American. And I don't think any of the other Koyama artists enjoy talking. And it's the only thing that I'm any good at. So, yeah, I'll do it. I guess the only thing really to say about Annie at this point that someone might not know, and this, I think about this sometimes because I've had conversations with other people that have not been published or don't have close relationships with Annie, is that the funny thing about her is that it's mainly true, all the nice things that people say. Sometimes someone has a reputation and you just assume there's some dark, seamy underbelly, which I'm sure there must be. I'm sure she must be a horrible person, really, when it comes down to it. But I only see her a couple times a year at most, so there's not that much opportunity for that to come out. But Annie has been, not only to me, but to pretty much everyone I know that she has worked with. And I say pretty much, not knowing that there's someone with a nasty story. I just haven't talked to everybody. But when we get together, or when her name comes up, we're pretty universally like, shit, wow, Annie Koyama. Like, she really is a pretty special person. Both as a publisher, I guess, although I don't know that Annie is as good a publisher from a business perspective as she is a human. But also, she's probably more famous as a patron of artists, and in a larger sense, a facilitator of arts, insofar as both through Koyama Press and now through Koyama Provides, the grants that she's been making available. Doing that thing that comics is really bad at, which is to say, A, here's some space for you to do your art, whatever that might be, and B, here's some space to play around and to experiment and to figure out what it is you want to say, how you want to say it, etc. Which in comics, which is found in kind of, it's a bit of a crap medium in its DNA in terms of being, the thing that's most publishable might be the most replaceable or the most modular or the most, dumb in a lot of cases in terms of its larger value to, society. And that also goes for, the things that I make as well. I don't mean to say that everything that Koyama has published is the greatest art in the world, but Annie has always made herself really available as a resource and as a person that kind of builds that, I don't know what you call it, underpinning that an artist doesn't often have in comics. You're not going to get a lot of things published by larger, even smaller publishers because either they won't be popular enough to move units or to get into Diamond, or they just won't be profitable, and a small business person just can't, make a lot of those kind of decisions. What am I doing? I'm rambling a little bit. But I guess as someone whose comics are particularly unsaleable, having the freedom to do whatever it is that I want with zero input from Annie in terms of, I don't think that'll sell, or I don't think, that's viable as an idea. In fact, all the input I get from Annie, and I think most of the people that she's published would agree with this, is just support, is check-ins, is how are you feeling, is that thing that you're worried about still a problem? If you're going on a trip, you might get a surprise gift to help with that trip. If you're sick, you might get a surprise something to help, with rent that you might be missing on. If you have a fundraiser or a GoFundMe or some other publicly stated need, it's highly likely that if Annie knows you, she's one of the very first contributors. I think that Annie continues to be an incredibly special, irreplaceable part of our community, and I'm really happy to see that she is still an active force, not only as a facilitator and a patron of arts, but also as a person with her own highly honed sense of taste and an eye for people that might not have visibility of a community in the same way that the comics often thinks of in terms of being the hottest Instagram find or having the coolest con sketchbooks or whatever. I don't even know what counts for fame anymore in comics, but at any rate, I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to Annie, both as a publisher and a patron, and also to the people that were integral parts of Koyama Press, Ed Canerva, Helen Koyama, Dan Onicio, Scott McKenzie, Noé, Steve Manali. There's just a really special group of people who Annie brought together, and they're all still around. I'll miss seeing them at comic book conventions, but I mean, why would you go to a comic book convention, if you didn't have to? Anyway, hope to see all of you again one day soon at a comic convention or some other place. But until that time, talk to you later, and I love you, Annie Koyama. Bye.
Our next award is the Nipper, the Doug Wright Award for Best Emerging Talent. This award is given to an author or a team early in their career and deserving of wider recognition. And it is named, as you know, in honor of Doug Wright's signature character, the Nipper. The winner of the Nipper receives a trophy, a small cash prize, and a week at the Valley View Artists Retreat in beautiful Caledon, Ontario. Here to present the award is Sylvia Nickerson.
Hi, Doug Wright. I'm here to present the nominees for the Nipper Award for 2021. The first nominee is Adam D'Souza for A Gleaming No. 2, self-published. Kimberly Edgar for The Space in Between, self-published. Courtney Loberg for We Don't Go Through the Angel Grass 1, self-published. Veronica Post for Langosh and Peppy, Fugitive Days, published by Conundrum Press. And the last nominee is Shannon M. Reeves for Restless Bones, published by Gaitha Press. Congratulations to all the nominees. You should feel honored. And the winner is Veronica Post for Langosh and Peppy, Fugitive Days, published by Conundrum Press. Congratulations, Veronica!
Hi, this is Veronica Post, and I'm here to say a huge thank you to the Doug Wright Awards for the Nipper Award for Langosh and Peppy, Fugitive Days. I need to say a big thank you to Andy Brown and Sarah Soller at Conundrum Press for everything, for the opportunity to make this book, and for all of your help and support and friendship over the years. I just love you guys. And yeah, there's a few other people I should shout out. I want to shout out Howard Chakowitz and Chris Burton for your support as well and your friendship. And I need to thank everybody who bought the book and who liked it. It's a huge amount of work to make a graphic novel, so I'm just thrilled for this nomination, for this award, and for the fact that people appreciated all the work that I put into it. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Veronica, for winning the Nipper Award. This is an Emerging Talent Award, and I hope this is the beginning of a long and happy career in Canadian cartooning.
In December, we lost Bill Wright, the son of Doug Wright and Phyllis Wright Thomas. Bill was known in the family as the real Nipper, inspiring many of his father's strips when he was a kid. Please welcome Corey Wright, Bill's nephew, who would like to say a few words.
Hello everyone, my name's Corey Wright. I'm the grandson of Doug and Phyllis, and I just want to say a few words about my uncle Bill, who passed away this past December. Bill was the son of Doug and Phyllis, the eldest of the three Wright brothers, and so likely the original inspiration for Doug Wright's Nipper. He was a lover of music, particularly of the rock and roll persuasion. I guess he inherited Doug's artistic gene, but his medium was the drums rather than drawing. He had a partner, Jackie, who he cared for and loved for and was devoted to right up to the very end. Billy was a cat lover. He was a cat owner his whole life, as far as I know. And his cats always lived long, happy lives. Which brings me to this Doug Wright original, which he had in his apartment. I like to think is a representation of Billy himself as a kid and his early relationship with kitties. So yeah, here's to Uncle Bill. May he rest in peace. Thanks, everyone.
Each year, the Doug Wright Awards induct 2 new members, one living and one deceased, into the Giants of the North, the Canadian Cartoonists Hall of Fame. This year's living inductee has asked that we defer their introduction until an in-person ceremony is once again possible. So this year's sole inductee is Fred Kelly. Best known for his work with Bell Features during the post-Second World War Canadian Whites era, and in particular for his creation of the character Mr. Monster. Here to induct Fred is Robert Pincombe, a Gemini Award-winning writer of several animated shows for children, whose interview with Fred will appear in the soon-to-be-released collection, The Original Adventures of Dr. Stern / Mr. Monster.
I'm very grateful to be part of this year's Doug Wright Awards to induct Fred Kelly into the Hall of Fame. I can imagine Fred's surprise, pleasure, and not a little bemusement at this honor for work he loved and labored over so many years ago. To have his art rediscovered in his later years was a true surprise and pleasure for Fred, so thank you. Fred was born in Toronto in 1922. His father was coach of the Royal Canadian Air Force's winning football team and found his son's artistic side baffling. But Fred was determined to follow his passion. He was drawing on the side and taking courses downtown nights and Saturday mornings. Eventually, Fred gathered up his artwork and visited the offices of Bell Features looking for work. Art director Adrian Dingle, creator of Nelvana, looked at Fred's samples and told him to keep at it, and eventually he could do anything he wanted to. To quote Fred, "I got along with Dingle very well and he supported me without buying anything. He'd show me what I was doing wrong and I'd redo it. I came in 8 or 9 times. I was really bad at first, but I was always better than the time before." Fred wore Dingle down, but he also took every piece of advice he was given, showed improvement with every visit, until finally, Fred was hired as the newest artist for Bell Features. Fred hit the ground running and quickly became a workhorse for Bell Features' entire line of comic books, including covers. Working from the studio he shared with fellow Bell artist Jerry Lazar above a Toronto movie theater on Yonge Street just north of Eglinton Avenue, Kelly took over several of Bell's established strips, like Red Thornton and Active Jim, and added a host of his own characters to Bell's stable. The Blade, Steve Storms, Cinder Smith, Clip Curtis, Jungle reporter Betty Bird, and the creation that would later bring him renown 40 years later, Doc Stern, who eventually became Mr. Monster. Fred reminisced about those times. "We made everything up as we went along. Far better to draw it fast than to worry about lousy art. Get it drawn and get on to the next one. The stories came to me. Sometimes I had to stop to read the stories because I never knew it was coming on the next page. Some of them worked out beautifully. We'd start with a rough idea, and since we were all trying to sell as many pages as we could, we'd sneak in an extra 1 or 2. And if it was well done, if it came out, I could always convince Adrian. He never said no, because they were always short of pages. So I didn't look too hard at the art. He knew Dingle was looking at it." When Fred started, he was making $3 a page, and by the time he finished, he was making over 40. Good money for a young man in those days, but Fred knew it wouldn't last. When the end was near, he reached out to the publisher of Canadian Heroes Comics in Montreal. He sent them a strip in the mail, and they bought it and asked for more. But soon, even that source of income dried up. Eager to capitalize on his growing skill, Fred created several sample comic strips to pitch to King Features in New York. He created samples for Cinder Smith and Clip Curtis. He also created a new strip called The Other Half, based on Damon Runyon-esque characters. This came from the source itself. He exchanged letters with Damon Runyon and asked if they could team up. To his excitement, Runyon agreed. So, in December 1946, Fred drove to New York with his friend Bill Thomas, another young Bell Features artist, eager to make a go of it in New York. Runyon had assured Fred that he already had an in at King Features. So they agreed to meet in New York, and he would introduce the young artist. When he arrived, Fred couldn't get a hold of Runyon, so he went to King Features on his own, and they told him that Runyon had died the day before of cancer. And this ended Fred's foray into the not-so-lucrative world of comic strips. Over time, Fred found ways to bring art back into his life by producing architectural drawings for builders for their ads and brochures and for homeowners. Eventually, he took up painting, and he and Rita would spend winters in Mexico in an artist colony on the Independence Trail painting. One of the great pleasures of my life was introducing Fred and Rita and Jerry Lazar to Michael T. Gilbert, who wore a hand-knitted Mr. Monster sweater to the event. At long last, Gilbert had found the man who created the original Mr. Monster that he had based so many comics on. And Fred Kelly met the man who resurrected his lost character and gave it new life. After enjoying a final summer with his beloved Rita, Fred Kelly passed away on September 14th, 2005. I was proud to call this gruff, pragmatic, funny man a friend, and I miss him. It was an honor to help Fred discover that the comic book legacy he created and worked so hard on had found a new life and new fans, and I know that he would be proud to accept this honor. So now, accepting the Doug Wright Hall of Fame Award for Fred Kelly is Fred's wife, Rita Kelly.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to accept this award for Fred. And I know he would be delighted, and he would probably shake his head and say, thank you.
It is my honor to induct into the Giants of the North Hall of Fame, Mr. Fred Kelly. As each year goes by, I feel those old Canadian whites from the 1940s take on more and more importance. They really feel like the foundation of the kind of cartooning world that exists today in Canada. And I'd like to say a personal thanks to all of them. And I wish I'd known Mr. Kelly, and I wish I could have placed this award on him personally, but my thoughts and all of our thoughts go with him.
Before we present our final award, Seth would like to say a few words about Phyllis Wright Thomas, Doug Wright's widow, and one of our biggest supporters.
This is the part of the awards show where we usually thank Phyllis. And you know, there's always a danger in these kind of things of it just being a routine where you say the same thing every year. But, you know, I genuinely want this to be a moment where people think about the amount of support Phyllis has given us. I mean, Brad and I, when we showed up there originally, she had no idea who we are or what we were doing or any of this. And she really extended herself, put herself behind the awards. And year by year, she has graced us with her graciousness and charm and always her support. I feel like that Brad and I have certainly come to love her. And we miss her deeply. It's been quite some time since I've seen her in person, but we're looking very much forward to seeing her again. And some real flowers will be making their way, but in the meantime, I'm presenting to you a symbolic bouquet of flowers, Phyllis. And with all our love, everyone from the Doug Wright Awards.
Let's check in again with Rob. Rob, how you doing? And now, for the final presentation of the evening, that, of course, is the Doug Wright Award for Best Book, given to the best book of any kind published by a Canadian creator or team during the 2020 calendar year. And the winner receives a beautiful trophy and a small cash prize. Here to present the award is Margaret Atwood. Now, if you think I'm going to give her a big introduction, then shame on you. She needs no introduction. The only real question is, why did she agree to do this? Is it because Brad Mackay offered her a lifetime supply of bacon? Or, as I like to think, because of a long-time connection with the comics community, the writer and artist of Canadian culture comics, and the writer of the best-selling graphic novel, Angel Catbird, Margaret Atwood.
The nominees for the 2021 Doug Wright Award for Best Book are Lonely Boys by Sophie Bédard, published by Pow Pow Press. Familiar Face by Michael DeForge, published by Drawn and Quarterly. Constantly by Gigi, published by Koyama Press. Paul at Home by Michael Rabigliati, published by Drawn and Quarterly. Wendy, Master of Art by Walter Scott, published by Drawn and Quarterly. And the winner is Lonely Boys by Sophie Bédard. Congratulations to everyone.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for this award. A special thanks to Elga Dacher and Robin Lang, who did a terrific job translating my book in English. It was a real pleasure to work with them. And of course, thanks to my publisher, Luc Bossé from Pop-Up Press. Congratulations to all the nominees, and thank you.
And here we are, the final award of the night, the big award, Best Book, the Doug Wright Award. It was a good year, a lot of great books out there. So congratulations, Sophie, on your win, and all my best regards.
And that's our show. Congratulations to all the winners and to everyone. Thanks to everyone who helped put this show together. Thank you, Conan. Thanks, Alaska B. Thanks to the Beguiling. And thanks to all of you out there, all you artists and writers. It's been a great year in comics, and we need you. Let's make it a good one next year. Thank you.